All right, it's time for another 5 minutes here today on CIH Media. Very honored to have this guest here today. You know him from the Orange County Register. He is the high school sports columnist over there. Steve Fryer joins us. Steve, thank you so much for being here.
Glad to be with you.
All right, so there's a lot to talk about in the high school realm, not a whole lot of action. What's our topic going to be today?
Oh, the topic is, gosh, it's Friday when we're doing this, and I should be prepping to cover a game tonight. I should be getting my stats ready, make sure my rosters are up to date, make sure I got a seat to sit in that little press box, which is kind of no bigger than a large SUV, and trying to figure it out, what's happening there, figure out when my deadline is, all these things like that. But alas, there's no games tonight. It's funny, I saw a guy tonight early this morning, and he's wearing an modern day football shirt. He goes, "What time's the game tonight?" I go, your game is January, pal, because we're not having any high school sports till then, because obviously everybody knows COVID-19 has affected a lot of things, including push back the high school sports year to January. They're going to try, the CIF Southern section is trying to condense sports into a January through June thing. Nothing going on from late August until through December. All those sports have been moved into either, wintertime or springtime. It's pretty hectic. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out. I think the CIF state organization deciding to delay the start of the high school sports year to late December, it may turn out to be pretty good, because maybe if they had tried to start it in August in regular time, maybe there would have been outbreaks, things like that. Games would have been delayed, pushed aside, rescheduled, canceled, etc., and we wouldn't have a full season. Maybe by starting this thing in January, we're going to have a full season. These kids will get to have a full senior year, junior year, sophomore year, etc. It may turn out to be a pretty wise move that this thing was delayed. I hope so, because it really hurt to see all these young people get their senior years derailed, disconnected back in March, and they didn't have a full senior year. Those kids, man, your senior year is you're the most fun, rewarding year of your high school season, your high school career. Generally, these kids need a senior year. Gosh, I hope they get one.
Yeah, lots going on here in California. Of course, everything's surrounding COVID-19. Can't wait to get back to the games. Let's go ahead. We're talking high school sports. We'll put 5 minutes on the clock, and here we go, especially here in California. I know a big topic a little bit ago when all this was getting underway, and it looked like the high school sports were going to be delayed. A lot of student athletes had some big decisions to make, whether or not they were going to stick around here in California. What have you seen from student athletes trying to make that tough decision?
Well, boy, one of the interesting things was we had a few guys here in Orange County that wanted to have that senior year, wanted to be guaranteed a senior year. They didn't know for sure it was going to happen in January or February or whatever. So some of them moved out of state. Super interesting case was Newport Harbor quarterback Cole Lavin moved to Utah, where he played for Brighton High School. Pretty good program. And so he went out there, but he didn't play quarterback. They were a really good team with a returning quarterback. He played running back, did pretty well there. He's a tough kid. He only played 5 games of his junior year at quarterback for Newport Harbor in 2019 because of a knee injury. He goes to Utah, plays a few games, about 4 or 5 games this season. What's he do? Hurts his knee again. And the recovery time was going to be such that he wasn't able to play this year. So he just packed it up, came back to play to Orange County, and now he's back in Newport Harbor attending classes. He wants to be eligible to play when the football season here starts in January. He's already used up his 8 semesters of eligibility. He can't play. He went to Utah, got the 4 games in, talked to his dad, and I talked to the young man too. No regrets. They did what they thought was the right thing to do. But, I think it might be hard for him in January and February when he goes to Newport Harbor football games and watch his football brothers out there playing, and he can't play with them because he was in Utah and expired his eligibility. Tough situation for that guy.
Yeah, you look at another quarterback from California, Jake Garcia, who played at 3 different high schools in his first 3 years and transferred out of state for his senior year this year, going to Valdosta in Georgia. And then he eventually is ruled ineligible in Georgia, some sort of transfer rule being violated there.
Yeah.
What do you think is some advice for the kids who are sticking around here? Do you tell them you got to go find another opportunity elsewhere, or is it just stick around and hopefully you can take the field in January?
Well, as a dad of 2 they're in their 30s now, but both my kids played varsity sports. And I would have told, it's hard to walk that walk because I didn't have to walk that walk. My kids had a clean experience, great time. They had a wonderful time, really. And I would have told them to stay here, play with your guys, play with your friends, hang out with your brothers. You've been through so much with these kids. My son played football at Servite. Boy, you talk about brotherhood and sticking with each other. And my daughter played volleyball at Rosary. And I would have told them to stay here. But again, I understand why these kids made the decision. I wish it worked out for like Jake Garcia in Georgia. He probably would have had a great experience would have stayed here. Last place he wound up at where he was enrolled at was La Habra High School. And he probably would have had a blast. But, they did what they thought was the right thing to do. Hindsight's always 20/20, isn't it? So
every time.
No kidding. But, I would have, as a parent, I would have told my kids stay here.
From a media standpoint, once we get around to, organized practices and all that starting in December, mid-December here in Southern California, with all these sports going to start to overlap come the start of the new year, how do you plan on getting to all those places and duplicating yourself to cover everything?
I've got a cloning machine back here. No, I don't know how we're going to do it. Myself, my partner, Dan Albano, we're going to be doing the best we can and cover as many things as we possibly can. Who I really feel sorry for is the gosh darn athletic directors who have to figure out, we got boys volleyball, girls volleyball, boys basketball, and girls basketball happening at the same time. Oh my gosh, how are you going to work it out? Is it going to be 1950 again where a lot of kids are playing outside? I don't know. But somehow they got to work out gym time, and not just varsity sports. Yeah, lower levels too. Your freshman team, your JV team, things like that. I really feel bad for those athletic directors in terms of working out gym time and things like that. Also, think of this too: buses. Okay, you put a football team on a bus to go play at, let's say the kids at Anaheim get on the bus to go play at Western. Now you need, because of social distance on the bus, you're going to need 3 or 4 buses, right? Oof. That's going to be expensive too. And there's not a lot of money coming in because are you going to be able to have a snack bar? Are you going to be able to fill the stadium with seats? Or are you going to have social distance? Instead of 800 people at the game, you can only have 200. And so that money that should be coming in to help pay for transportation, buses, et cetera. Man, I'm glad I'm not an athletic director who has to figure out all those logistics. It's going to be really tough.
So many questions left unanswered, and we know they're doing their best to work on it, and hopefully everything will go as smooth as it possibly can. Hey, real quick before I let you go, want to send our condolences to the OBrien family. Tim OBrien, longtime Northwood High School head coach, passed away earlier this week, and I know you knew him, and just want to give our best to the OBrien family.
I knew Tim for 30 years, coached Estancia to an unlikely state championship in 1991. He had one great player named Matt Fierbringer, who wound up being a professional beach volleyball player for many, many, many years. But Tim got the most out of players. He was one of those guys that made a 5'10" guy feel like he could guard that 6'5" guy, and the 5'10" guy would and could and did. And he was just wonderful like that. The guys who coached under OBrien, Rich Boyce at Edison, so many people who coached under Tim. Tim was fighting lymphoma and had a hard time with bone marrow transplant a couple years ago. 65 years old when he passed away. He still planned on coaching at Northwood in Irvine this season. That was Tim's spirit. He was an incredible guy. He wore his Christian faith outwardly, and really believed in himself and believed spiritually that he was going to come back. He didn't die because his spirit went out. It's just his body gave up on him, and the guy battled through it. Tremendous guy, always smiling. I'm going to miss him. A lot of people are going to miss Tim. I've been doing this for 30 years at the Register, covering high school sports. I don't know a better coach or a better man than Tim OBrien.
Well, our best goes out to the OBrien family, of course. If you want to keep up with the latest in high school sports here in Orange County, check out the Orange County Register. You can go to ocvarsity.com as well to get all your most updated information out of the area. Steve Fryer, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
I hope so too. Thank you very much.